My best friend and I were pulled into the same trashy romance novel at the exact same moment. The system, the entity that brought us here, gave her a mission: save the devoted, heartbroken second male lead. My task was to win over the dangerously possessive villain. Only by completing our missions could we go home. Everything went according to plan, almost too well. Our men, Julian and Damien, avoided the entanglements of the original female lead and rose to become untouchable titans in the sprawling metropolis of a city. But their success came with a terrifying, pathological need to control us. Once, I stumbled and scraped my knee at the office. In response, Damien had the left leg of every single employee in the company broken. Another time, my friend Summer took one less sip of her soup than he thought she should. Julian had the chef executed on the spot. We couldn't endure this suffocating, paranoid love. We decided to contact the system and go home. But somehow, they discovered the system's existence before we could leave. To keep us compliant, they joined forces and imprisoned us in a lavish villa, a gilded cage engineered to block all contact with any non-human intelligence. Our link to the system was severed. They tried everything to make us happy. They showered us with gifts, catered to every imaginable whim, but a deep, unshakable melancholy had taken root in our souls. We grew quiet, despondent, and eventually refused to even look at them. Our coldness infuriated Damien and Julian, but they were powerless against our despair. In a fit of rage and a twisted attempt to provoke us, they each found a replacement, women who looked about 80% like us, and began flaunting them all over the city. They would come to the villa, not to see us, but to tell us about their new darlings, describing in lurid detail how they spoiled them, hoping to ignite a spark of jealousy in our dead eyes. But our hearts were already ash. All we wanted was to go home. I was sitting on a swing in the manicured garden, the silence of our prison profound. Summer pushed me gently from behind, her movements listless, her face a mask of weary resignation. We had lived this tranquil, dead-end life for over a year. But today, the suffocating quiet was shattered by a cacophony from the front gate. Damien comes here every single day. I have to see what kind of treasure he's hiding in this place, a sharp voice declared. Exactly. And Julian forbade us from ever setting foot here. What could he possibly be keeping from us? Another chimed in. The nervous voice of a bodyguard followed. Miss Cassandra, Miss Brenda, are you sure about this? I heard someone trespassed once, and Mr. Damien gouged out his eyes and fed them to the dogs. He's right, another guard stammered. We should leave. If they get angry, none of us can handle the consequences. A dismissive scoff. Don't be ridiculous. Have you not seen how they dote on us? They would never get angry at us. The commotion made my brow furrow in annoyance. Beside me, Summer sighed, her face clouded with irritation. No one knew the depths of Damien and Julian's madness better than we did. They had locked us away precisely so no one else would ever know us. I remembered the last intruder, an injured man who had stumbled onto the property by mistake. Our hearts softened, and we gave him food and shelter while he recovered. When Damien found out, he personally tore the man's eyes from their sockets. Julian, for his part, tortured him until he was nothing more than a heap of mangled flesh. They couldn't stand the sight of us showing kindness to anyone else. The villa was laced with sensors. If they detected any sign of an escape attempt, they would slaughter the household staff to vent their fury. Eventually, they dismissed all. The servants, preferring to come and care for us themselves rather than risk another person getting close to us. If these women forced their way in, it would be a bloodbath. I sighed and glanced at Summer. She met my gaze and gave a slight, reluctant nod. We walked toward the entrance, intending to persuade them to leave. A life, any life, was more important than satisfying their curiosity. We had barely reached the doorway when a hand cracked across my face, sending me sprawling to the ground. A brutal kick sent Summer tumbling down. Beside me, my head swam. As my vision cleared, I looked up into two eerily familiar faces. They were the replacements. Our 80% lookalikes. You bitch, one of them seethed, her face a mask of rage. How dare you get plastic surgery to look like me? I'll tear your face apart. The other sneered down at us. What's this? The two of you plotting to take our places? Summer and I exchanged a look of sudden, horrified understanding. These weren't just any women. They were Cassandra and Brenda, the stand-ins Damien and Julian had been parading around for the past year. I looked at their faces, marveling at the resemblance. I wouldn't be in this world for much longer, and I had no desire to make enemies. This place is off limits, I said, my voice calm and friendly despite the sting in my cheek. You should go, before Damien and Julian get here. My reward was another vicious slap. Who do you think you are? Cassandra hissed, breathing heavily with fury. You dare to tell me what to do? Laura. Summer cried out, scrambling to help me up. She glared at them, her own face filled with a helpless rage. We're trying to help you. When Julian finds out what you've done, he'll make you regret it. Her threat was met with a sharp cry of pain. Brenda grabbed a fistful of Summer's hair, her voice dripping with venom. And who are you to say his name so casually? You two worthless tramps are just jealous of the love Damien and Julian shower on us, Cassandra spat. You snuck into this villa hoping to replace us. Let me tell you, it's impossible. Brenda, she said, a cruel smile spreading across her face. Let's make an example of them. When Damien and Julian see how we've dealt with these two imposters, they might even give us a reward. Their entourage of bodyguards murmured in agreement, their faces sycophantic, eager to earn favor by tearing us limb from limb. Summer looked at them, her voice cold and steady. I'm warning you, don't do anything foolish. If you harm us, Damien and Julian will never forgive you. Cassandra and Brenda paused, then burst into derisive laughter. With those surgically altered faces? Please. We were personally chosen by them. Don't be so stupid. Suddenly, a younger guard spoke up hesitantly. Their faces, they don't look like they've had surgery. Cassandra's laughter died. She stared at me, her eyes turning cold and calculating. Brenda studied Summer with a look of playful cruelty. It's her good fortune to look like me, she mused. A fortune she doesn't deserve to enjoy. In that case, let's start with that pretty face. Their followers, hearing the command, surged forward with menacing grins. I panicked, pulling Summer back with me. Stop. I screamed, my voice raw with desperation. I am Damien's wife. His only wife. Who dares touch me? Summer, finding her own strength, added in a chilling tone, I'm carrying Julian's child. If you touch me, you're signing your own death warrant. Their words brought the mob to a halt. Cassandra stood back, her expression unreadable. So, you're saying you're Mrs. Damien, she said flatly. And I'm the replacement? Brenda's face was a canvas of disbelief. What? You have Julian's child? Yes, I said, my voice level and firm. Stop now, and when they arrive, we can ask them to spare your lives. I spoke with conviction, certain they would back down. Instead, after a brief pause, they howled with laughter. This bitch must have read too many novels. Julian's child? That's hilarious. It's probably some bastards, and she's trying to pass it off. How dare they talk to Miss Cassandra and Miss Brenda like that? They must have a death wish. Cassandra was bent over, laughing. I've never seen such idiots in all of A City. This is a real eye-opener. Brenda rolled her eyes with theatrical disdain. I'd been with Julian for over a year, and I had no idea he had a wife. If you were really carrying his child, why would you be living here without so much as a single servant? She waved a dismissive hand at her men. What are you waiting for? Ruin her face. The men no longer hesitated. They didn't know that this place was a barren cage because of Damien and Julian's possessive madness. They couldn't stand to see us even smile at another person, so they had driven everyone away. They had stopped mentioning us in public, erasing us from the world to protect us. Now, that very protection had become the reason Cassandra and Brenda couldn't recognize us. Blood streamed down my face, the skin laid open by a knife. The pain was so intense I couldn't speak. But I threw myself over Summer, shielding her with my own body as tears blurred my vision. She was pregnant, her body already fragile. The slightest harm could cause a miscarriage. Laura. Laura. Summer sobbed, her voice a faint whisper. Forget about me, save yourself. Brenda clicked her tongue in disgust. What a touching display of sisterly love. It's sickening. Gag that one, Cassandra commanded coldly, pointing at Summer. Her crying is getting on my nerves. At her order, men moved to pull me off Summer. I watched in horror as a dagger was forced toward her mouth. Stop. I shrieked, my voice cracking. You will regret this. I lunged forward, grabbing the sharp blade with my bare hands. The pain was immediate and excruciating, a white-hot fire shooting up my arms. Tears of agony streamed from my eyes. Boring. She's already crying, someone sneered. Cassandra enjoyed the praise from her followers as she walked over and stomped on my wrist. I heard a sickening snap. Behind her, Brenda smiled a secretive, wicked smile. These two bitches do have delicate skin. Why don't you boys have some fun with them? At her words, the color drained from Summer's face. To save Julian, she had been schemed against by the original heroine, kidnapped, and beaten so badly that the doctors said she could never conceive. It was Julian who had patiently fed her restorative tonics, day after day, for nearly 3 years, nursing her broken body back to health. 2 months ago, they finally had their first child. I knew that as much as she wanted to go home, a part of her heart still belonged to Julian. I had heard her whisper in her sleep, promising the little troublemaker in her belly that she would protect it with her life. Now, as the men approached, Summer scrambled backward in terror, but it was useless. Her clothes were torn away, exposing her skin to the leering eyes of her attackers. Summer! Summer! I screamed, but I was pinned down myself, fists raining down on my stomach, each blow stealing my breath and driving me closer to unconsciousness. One of the younger guards hesitated. Isn't this going too far? This is still a forbidden place. How will we explain this to Mr. Damien and Mr. Julian? Cassandra shot him a cold glare. Explain what? When have you ever seen him angry with me? I am the only woman by his side. I'm going to be Mrs. Damien. Do you understand? Brenda was even more brazen. Send more men over. Don't let them die too easily. The remaining few, their doubts erased, chimed in with renewed cruelty. It's true, no one has ever been spoiled by Mr. Damien like Miss Cassandra is. Exactly. Even if Miss Brenda wanted them dead today, they'd deserve it. Mr. Damien and Mr. Julian will only feel sorry for the ladies. Who cares if these two bitches live or die? In the chaos, I saw Summer's tear-filled eyes. A river of blood gushed from between her legs. She shook her head helplessly, but when she looked at me, the corners of her mouth curved into a faint, heartbreaking smile. Laura, she mouthed. Don't look. Don't be afraid. Be good, her silent words continued. I'll take you home. But what home? This exquisite cage had become our hell. Damien had imprisoned me here, but he had never hurt me, not once. He had spent countless nights with nutritionists, planning my meals to nurse me back to health. Now, my body was a canvas of cuts and bile marks. All his meticulous care had been for nothing. My eyes were wide open, but only blood and tears flowed from them. As my consciousness faded, a bitter thought surfaced. Damien, my husband. Is this what you wanted? The followers were still fawning over Cassandra and Brenda. Miss Cassandra is so clever. Now Mr. Damien will surely find this woman disgusting. Miss Brenda is the one with the real methods. No wonder she's Mr. Julian's woman. The two of them laughed, triumphant, as if they were already ladies of the manor. Suddenly, one of the thugs stopped, his face pale with panic. He scrambled over to them. She's dead. What do we do? I lay on the cold ground, my breath gone. Cassandra glanced over, unconcerned. A whore is dead. So what? Another attacker looked greedily toward Brenda. She understood immediately and chuckled. Well, there's still one left. Go on, play with her. She pointed a manicured finger at Summer. Just as she spoke, the heavy gates to the villa were thrown open. Damien and Julian strode in, their voices like thunder. "Who gave you permission to be here?" "Summer." Julian screamed, his voice choked with agony, his eyes turning a furious, bloodshot red. "Who? Who did this to you? I'll kill them." Summer looked at him, tears streaming down her face. She no longer had the strength to speak. The thugs around them exchanged terrified glances. One of them fell to his knees with a thud, and soon they were all kneeling, their faces ashen. "Mr. Julian. Don't blame us. It was Miss Brenda. She made us do it." Yes. She ordered us. We were just following orders." Brenda marched over and kicked one of the groveling men. "You were fawning over me a minute ago, and now you betray me. You're pathetic." But Julian didn't care. He tried to pull Summer's tattered clothes together to cover her, but they were shredded beyond repair. He lowered his head, his teeth clenched, his face as white as paper. "Summer. I'm sorry. It's all my fault." Brenda frowned, her voice filled with arrogant petulance. "Julian, what is the meaning of this? She's just some slut who happens to look like me. Are you really going to punish me for her?" Julian looked up, his expression a storm of hatred and disbelief. Summer whimpered, forcing out the broken words. "Julian, our baby. The baby is gone." With those final words, her head lolled to the side. She was dead in his arms. Our souls met in the air above. She looked at me, her spectral face full of disbelief. "Laura, are we free?" "Yes," a familiar voice echoed through the air. It was the system. In the next instant, it materialized before us, its form shimmering. It looked at our broken bodies below, its synthesized voice trembling. "Those vile creatures. You have suffered. Now, let's go home." A cry of pure joy escaped my lips. "Really? Summer, did you hear that? We can really go home?" The system nodded. "Of course. I'm taking you home." A flash of white light, and when I opened my eyes again, we were back in the real world. I turned my head and met Summer's tear-filled gaze. "Thank God," she whispered. "We're finally back." "Congratulations on your return, hosts," the system's excited voice chirped in our ears. "Please accept your cash reward and your unlimited black card." I blinked. "Why is the reward so generous this time?" The system giggled. "Because of all you endured, of course. Go and enjoy yourselves." After leaving the hospital, Summer and I plunged into a life of unrestrained luxury. We shopped, we traveled, we went to clubs and hired handsome men just to pour our drinks. A year flew by, and the memories of that other world began to feel like a distant, faded nightmare. But one day, while we were hosting a party on a yacht, the system appeared again. Hosts, Damien and Julian have broken through the dimensional barrier and found me. They insisted that I show you this video. Summer and I exchanged a puzzled look. A video? A screen materialized in the air, and an image flickered to life. It was the scene after Summer's death. Brenda was still chattering away. "Julian, if you keep this up, I'm going to get really angry. No amount of designer bags will make me feel better." Julian looked at her, his eyes devoid of all warmth, his voice glacial. "Who let you in? Didn't I say no one was allowed inside?" "So what?" Brenda said defiantly. "I'm already in. You're not going to kill me for it, are you?" Cassandra tried to mediate. "Come on, Julian. Is a plastic surgery imposter really worth all this anger?" "Imposter?" Julian let out a hollow laugh, his fists clenching. "Do you have any idea what you're saying? Summer was my only wife. And you dared to do this to her. You even killed our child." His eyes were blazing red as he let out a guttural roar of grief. "I want your blood to pay for this." The kneeling men began to confess frantically. It was all Miss Brenda. She was the one who beat Miss Summer and wanted to cut out her tongue. Yes. And she was the one who told the thugs to violate her. Mr. Julian, you must see the truth. Brenda slapped one of them across the face. Traitors! All of you, get out. Julian raised a hand, silencing them. Brenda fell to her knees. Julian, I was wrong, I was really wrong. Please, forgive me just this once. Please don't kill me, I don't want to die. Julian sneered. Death? That would be too easy for you. The suffering that Summer endured. I will make you repay it 1,000, 1,000,000 times over. He bellowed at his bodyguards. Take this filth away. Brenda's legs gave out, and she screamed as she was dragged away. Julian! Forgive me! Julian! As her cries faded, the villa fell silent again, leaving only Damien and Cassandra. Damien lit a cigarette, his sharp eyes fixed on her. Why did you come in here? Did you think my words were just hot air? Cassandra's face was a mask of panic. I. Her eyes darted around, and a plan formed. She put on a pleasant smile. I saw someone sneaking in and thought it was a thief. I came in with Brenda because I didn't want Miss Summer to be disturbed. Enough, Damien cut her off, waving a hand impatiently. You didn't see anyone else, did you? No, of course not, she said quickly. Oh, Damien, I only came because I was worried about you. I just wanted to help ease your burden, don't you believe me? You're hurting my feelings. Hearing her coquettish tone, Damien's expression softened slightly. Seeing her chance, Cassandra pressed her advantage. Damien, this villa is so beautiful. Can I live here? No, he refused without a second thought. Why not? It's just a house, she pouted. Because. Damien paused, and then, like ice melting in the sun, his expression shifted. The familiar, doting look returned to his eyes, and he spoke loudly, as if for an audience. The feng shui here is terrible. You're moving in with me. What? Cassandra was overjoyed. Although Damien spoiled her, he had never allowed her to move into his primary residence, a fact that had always bothered her. This meant she was one step closer to becoming Mrs. Damien. She knew it. He had always loved her. That other bitch had been lying. Oh, Damien, you're too good to me, she squealed, throwing her arms around him. He didn't answer, his gaze fixed intently on the window of my room. Watching this, I couldn't help but give a bitter smile. It's no use, Damien. No matter how you try to provoke me, I'm already dead. Cassandra, now floating on air, suddenly ran over to my body. She hoisted my corpse up, displaying it to him proudly. Damien, this is the bitch who snuck in. I've already taught her a lesson for you. Do I get a reward? My face was a ruin of knife wounds, my flesh mangled. My body bore the marks of their violation. Damien glanced at it, his brow furrowed in disgust. Why does it look like this? She deserved it. Cassandra said loudly. She snuck in and had the nerve to curse at me. Watching the screen, Summer patted my hand in concern. I gave her a look to let her know I was fine. My heart would never again stir for Damien. Damien, I thought, if you knew that was me, would you feel even a flicker of regret for the disgust you just showed? He raised a hand, signaling for Cassandra to be quiet. He then turned to his bodyguard, his expression dark. Send this for an autopsy. Find out who she is. I want her entire family to join her in death. Cassandra shivered. This man was ruthless, but he adored her. She clung to his arm, purring, Damien, when can I move in? He looked at her deeply, a smile playing on his lips. Right now. Really? She gasped. I'll go pack right away. No need, Damien said with a wave. Let Lee handle it for you. Cassandra was truly moved now, tears welling in her eyes. Lee was Damien's right-hand man. To have him at her disposal meant she was truly one of his own. Damien, she cried, why are you so good to me? He smiled that indulgent smile again, raising his voice deliberately. This is nothing. I'm going to announce to the world that you, Cassandra, are my woman. The tears flowed freely now. Finally. After all this time, she had a title. You must be tired, Damien. Let's go home. I'll make you soup. She tugged his arm, ready to leave. All right, he said, nodding. But his eyes never left the villa's window. It was silent. Empty. Damien, Cassandra cried out as he violently shoved her away. She stumbled, her head spinning. He couldn't stand it anymore. He stormed into the villa, his voice a low growl. You really feel nothing at all. He stopped. The villa was empty. Unconvinced, he tore through the entire house, searching every room, every closet. But there was no trace of me. A terrible premonition bloomed in his chest. Cassandra staggered in, frowning. Damien, what are you doing? He stared at her, his eyes burning. I'll ask you one more time. Who did you see when you came to the villa? I told you, it was just some thieving bitch, she yelled, her own guilt making her defensive. Don't you believe me? At that moment, a bodyguard burst in, sweat beading on his forehead. Mr. Damien, we found out. The body belongs to. Damien's eyes looked ready to pop from his skull. Who? He roared. Spit it out. The bodyguard lowered his head and forced the words out. It's Miss Laura. Laura? Cassandra had never heard the name. She secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But in the next second, Damien let out a cry of such profound agony that it seemed to tear from the very depths of his soul. You're lying. How could it be? How could it be her? It couldn't be. His Laura. Gone. Her face a bloody mess, not a single inch of her skin left unharmed, her eyes wide open, staring into nothingness. She had died in torment. Oh, Laura, you suffered so much. It was me. It was all my fault. Who is she? Cassandra asked. When Damien didn't answer, she grew angry. Damien, weren't we going to move my things? Why aren't we leaving? His head was splitting. He shot Cassandra a look of pure loathing. She felt utterly bewildered. What's wrong? Are you really going back on your word for that bitch? His eyes were crimson. He laughed, a horrifying, broken sound. Bitch, he repeated. Laura was my only wife. And you? You are nothing but her replacement. You dared to lord your power over her. To hurt her, to defile her. I will make sure you die 1,000 deaths. Wife. No, it can't be. Didn't he love her the most? Cassandra stared at him, her mind blank. A moment later, his hand struck her, sending her to the floor. He bellowed at his guards. What are you waiting for? Get her out of my sight. The bodyguards moved quickly. Miss Cassandra, let's go. No. No, she screamed, her mind unraveling as she fought them off. I won't go. Don't you dare touch me. Damien, I was wrong. Please don't do this to me. I truly know I was wrong. I'm sorry to Miss Laura, I'm guilty. Please, spare me this one time. She's dead and can't be brought back, Damien. I'll be your slave for the rest of my life. Her words struck a nerve. He strode over and slapped her again, harder this time. Who the hell did you say is dead? He roared. Drag this filth away. The video continued. Damien and Julian summoned the best doctors in the country, demanding they bring us back to life. If they don't come back, none of you will live to see another day. The doctors trembled, promising to do their best. One young, inexperienced physician muttered in confusion, but, they're already dead. Instantly, a group of bodyguards descended on him, beating him until he coughed up blood and died on the floor. Let me not hear those words again, Damien said in a voice of ice. Or that will be your fate. A collective gasp went through the room. No one dared to speak. What are you standing around for? Julian snarled. Shaken back to reality, they began to frantically discuss plans. If we could transplant their heads onto new bodies. Yes, Dr. Wong is a genius, let's do that. The followers who had participated in our torture with Cassandra and Brenda became their test subjects. They were brought in, still begging for their lives. Mr. Damien, Mr. Julian, it was all Cassandra and Brenda. We knew nothing. It's our fault we couldn't stop them. It will never happen again. Please, spare me. My parents are waiting for me. Please let me go this one time. Their pleas were met with silence. The surgical requirements were horrific. The subjects had to be alive when they were dissected. For an entire week, the city was filled with the sounds of screams and the stench of blood. The followers went in alive and came out as corpses on gurneys. The number of living dwindled as the pile of bodies grew. Finally, the lead doctor approached Damien and Julian, his voice hoarse. Mr. Damien, Mr. Julian, we did our best. Damien looked past them, his gaze empty. After a long moment, he asked, where are they? Silence. Finally, a doctor whispered, his voice barely audible, we couldn't save them. Julian stumbled back, a self-mocking laugh escaping his lips. He lunged forward, punching the doctor square in the face. Get out. All of you, get out. What use are any of you? Damien's hand trembled so much he couldn't hold his cigarette. I want all of you, he rasped, to be buried with my Laura. Watching this, I closed my eyes, unable to bear it. Beside me, Summer let out a soft, pained sigh. We had only ever wanted them to find true happiness. The video shifted, showing us the past. I saw Damien as I first had, a pitiful, broken child whose father was dead and whose mother sold her body to pay for his schooling. He was standing in the pouring rain, locked out of his own home while his mother was with a client. The rain plastered his hair to his thin face as he cried, vowing to make something of himself. Then, the original heroine of the book appeared. I heard her ask her own system, him? He's so dirty. I knew the story. She would help him, save him, and he would fall obsessively in love with her. A love that would go unrequited and twist him into the novel's primary villain. The readers loved his madness, but in the entire book, no one ever showed him a single shred of genuine kindness. My heart ached for him. I walked over, stepping in front of the heroine, and held out my hand. It's raining, I said gently. Do you want to come home with me? Summer met Julian in high school. He and the original male lead were best friends, and they were both in love with the same girl. The heroine claimed to love only Julian, but in reality, she was already entangled with the male lead, her body and heart claimed by his aggressive pursuit. Poor Julian could only watch her slip away, asking her with tears in his eyes why she was avoiding him. If I'm not here, Summer had asked the system, what will happen to him? The system was silent for a long time before sighing. He will likely spend the rest of his life loving someone he can never have. So tragic. Such beautiful eyes, doomed to shed tears forever. Summer, always soft-hearted, felt tears welling up in her own eyes at the thought. She walked right up to him, so close they were almost touching, and opened her hand. A single, brightly wrapped piece of candy lay in her palm. Julian stared at it, stunned. Eat something sweet, she said, her lips curving into a warm smile. It'll make you feel better. The four of us, naturally, spent years together, walking through the seasons. They were good to us, giving us everything we could ever ask for. But we were never truly part of their world. The rule was absolute, complete the mission and go home, or fail and be erased. Summer and I did our best, hoping only to give them one more day of happiness. They eventually founded a company together, becoming titans of a city. We thought our job was done. It was time to go home. But they overheard us talking to the system. What do you mean, you're leaving? Damien had roared, his face contorted with rage. Laura, where are you going? Julian's voice trembled. Summer, why? You said you would stay with me forever. The truth came out. But when they heard it, they reacted with a desperate madness. No. I won't let you leave. If it's the system's rules, fine. I'll make it so it can never contact you again. And so they locked us in the villa, severing our only link home. For a year, we couldn't communicate with the system at all. At first, we thought that even if we couldn't go home, we could live out our days there peacefully. But Damien and Julian's paranoia grew worse. Don't talk to outsiders. Don't smile at them. Why do you want to go out? I'm all you need in your life. Don't run away, please, don't leave me. Slowly, the love I had felt for him withered and died. I no longer understood if we had saved them or utterly destroyed 4 lives. Now, watching their descent into madness, the pain in our hearts was deeper than ever. All we ever wanted was for you to be happy. The video showed Damien and Julian wandering aimlessly, eventually ending up in the villa's basement. Cassandra and Brenda were chained there. Seeing the 2 men, their former arrogance was gone, replaced by desperate, animalistic fear. They bowed their heads to the floor. Mr. Damien, I know I was wrong. I'll do anything you ask. Mr. Julian, I was blind. Please, for the sake of old times, spare us just this once. The men didn't have the patience to listen. A single look to a bodyguard was all it took. I find the sound of your voice disgusting, Damien said to Cassandra, his tone flat and dead. Julian shot Brenda a look of pure revulsion. MMPH. MMPH. Their tongues were ripped out. Blood poured from their mouths as they wept silently. They opened their mouths to scream but only gagging sounds came out. So noisy, Julian said, closing his eyes in irritation. Worse than a dog barking. Brenda froze, tears streaming down her face. She raised a trembling hand and made a gesture over her heart. Don't leave me. Please. Cassandra saw this and mimicked the gesture, looking at Damien with pleading eyes. He let out a short, harsh laugh. Begging me? It's far too late for that. You 2 were finished a long time ago. They dragged Cassandra and Brenda from the basement and took them to another location, a small, dark room. Summer and I watched in horror. We knew that place. It was where the city's former, most brutal crime lords were kept, men who were more beast than human. Cassandra and Brenda took one look inside and began to struggle, shaking their heads wildly, muffled screams of terror escaping their throats. Damien and Julian looked at them, their faces unreadable. Go on, Julian said softly. This is what you deserve. They had gone mad, crying tears of blood as they clawed at the floor, trying to escape. But the heavy door slammed shut, and from within came sounds of pain and perverse pleasure. They would spend every day and every night in that lightless place, suffering unspeakable torment until the day they died, with no hope of peace. After it was done, Damien and Julian looked at each other, as if all the strength had been drained from their bodies. They collapsed to the ground, a single tear tracing a path down each of their faces. She's gone. My Laura is never coming back. Summer. Summer will never return. She must hate me. The scene changed one last time. It was a cliff overlooking a churning sea. Standing on the edge were Damien and Julian. They looked out, not at the sea, but at the screen, at us. Laura. Summer. We know you've seen the video. You must blame us. We know you do. All we ask is for a chance to make it right. Please. And with those words, they stepped off the edge and into the void. I gasped, looking at Summer. Her face was a mirror of my own shock and disbelief. We understood in an instant. They thought that by dying, they could come to our world. We sat there for a long time, watching the screen. But no one was transported to our side. There were only 2 lonely bodies, dashed upon the rocks below. It was Damien and Julian. And they would never see us again.